here. We're on the after show for Flying High, huh?
We are, yeah.
All right, and you did most of the talking.
I did, yeah.
So that was yeah. Normally that's my job.
It normally is, yeah.
What do you think?
It's not that bad, but not my cup of tea, but we'll get it done, I guess.
You like to keep the guest host role.
Yeah. I talk all day at work. That's like,
We all do.
I know, but I get off work and that's the last thing I want to do is talk more.
Okay. Especially about airlines.
Yeah.
All right. So now, Mikey, have you flown?
I have.
I think you've flown. Let's see. When was the last time you flew?
The last time I can remember was with my grandpa down to Washington.
Oh, you guys flew to Washington?
I believe so.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
That's the last time I remember.
Okay.
Okay. And then I think you flew a little bit when you were younger. I think a few times. I don't think you've been that many times on an airplane.
I don't think I have, no.
Yeah, see, Tiffany used to fly all the time. So every summer she would fly to California.
Oh, okay.
That was when Southwest had their unaccompanied minor, and they had the flights straight through.
Oh, yeah.
So we wanted her to go see her grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
However, the issue was we didn't want her to get off the airplane and then trying to get back on because if something happened. So we opted for a direct flight.
Okay, yeah. That's pretty smart there.
Yeah, so I think every summer she flew.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember flying as an unaccompanied minor a few times too. Yeah, it was fun.
yeah, I guess it's
I felt all important. I'm like, I'm all by myself.
yeah, that'd be kind of nice. So
They had to like escort me from gate to gate.
now you love airplanes.
Oh yeah, I love them.
I don't think we drive around and you like look for them in the sky.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh,
Well,
look, airplane.
Yeah. Well, we're close to the airport, so we can see them now a lot. And then, growing up in Bellevue, we lived on the flight path, so I would always see them
Oh yeah, because
going
you
in
have
and out of the base. So.
yeah, the base airport right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty nice. So, and you could identify most of the planes when they're flying or landing, can't you?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, oh, that's a Southwest airline, or that's this, or that's that. I've heard that. I'm like, how can you tell what plane it is? Look at the tail. I'm like,
Yeah, the Southwest has got like the bright blue, red, and like an orangish kind of color. So you can pretty much tell those.
okay,
United American Delta, they're all kind of hard to tell because they're all like some form of red, white, and blue or something like that. So
right. No, I could understand that. So,
yeah, those are a little harder for me to identify.
okay.
United used to be kind of easier because they had like the all blue aircraft,
Oh, okay.
and it was like a different shade of blue.
Oh, okay. So, no, I don't like flying.
Yeah, I don't know why you don't.
Everything that we talked about on the previous show. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
here's my problem. So, it's my business. I'm not taking anything illegal on the plane,
Right.
but it's also my business on what my personal items are. I don't want everybody to be able to look through my bag and go through that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do like my privacy when I'm driving. I'm not going to let a cop search my car just because he wants to search the car. You have rights. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the airlines, TSA is a government agency. Somehow they have a loophole to, go through your stuff. And that, to me, that is a violation of your Fourth Amendment. You have a right against searches and seizures. Now, the problem that comes in is there's some bad people that has ruined it for everybody.
Exactly.
I'm not very fond of all the security. I don't want to go through that I don't want them to take a picture of me on that thing, and then, if you're overweight or too skinny or whatever it is.
I had no idea those were that graphic.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't, there's a lot of people that are self-conscious about their body.
Yeah.
People, that's most of America. That's most of the world.
Right.
People think, That's why we have, diseases like anorexia and obesity and stuff like that. Most people are not their ideal body.
Right.
And the ones that are, they don't care if they're the ones that run around half naked anyway.
Yeah.
So most of us that, are normal people, we might not like certain things of our body, and it's normal.
Right.
It is normal.
It is what it is.
Now, I don't want that picture of me basically naked,
Yeah.
And I know there's some jokers, that out there. There's some edited ones that they go through, and you can see the guy, he's standing off, and then his ding dong's hanging down to his knees, and you're like, oh,
Clearly
come on,
edited.
yeah, it clearly edited, or I
Yeah.
hope, or he's smuggling an elephant. I don't know which
Right.
one. There's some women that have gone through it, and they went through, they've had breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they actually have a prosthetic. So when they wear their bra, they had one of their breasts removed,
Yeah.
and they have a prosthetic in there in its place. And you could clearly tell through the X-ray machine.
Yeah.
Or you have to take it out, and then you take that X-ray, and then you're lopsided.
Yeah.
I guess it's like a self-conscious. I mean, I just don't like that those are out there, and they could. That's really an invasion of your privacy.
Yeah, it is.
So I guess I don't like that, so that I choose not to do that, and that's my choice.
Yeah.
So I'll drive most of the places we drive.
Well, we do, yeah.
In fact, if I get on my motorcycle, I can't get a motorcycle on a plane, so
Yeah.
that's what I like to take, and I'd like to go out and ride. And that's the other thing is it's a hassle getting a rental car sometimes.
It can be, yeah. It's no fun because that's changed a lot over the years too, the rental car business, and like some companies you no longer have like your assigned car. You can just go pick a car out of a certain row. And they always say like your car is guaranteed for like 24 hours like after you land, but that's not always the case. So it's like it's gotten to be, I wouldn't want to do that either right now.
Well, but it's also, I guess, and it depends on, I guess, your personality for that too. So, me, I'm the person that I like my car. I like driving. If I'm in a rental car, I don't feel like I can be myself in it. You're constantly worried about if someone hits this, is this going to affect my insurance? Is my insurance going to cover this? Is this going to be that? Am I going to be out of car now? I guess there's a lot of factors that go in there. So, I guess I'm lucky where I don't have to deal with rental cars very often.
Yeah.
I know people that they'll go down to Kansas City, or they'll go out of town, and they're like, yeah, we're just going to rent a car so we don't have to put miles on our car, which if you have a lease or something like that, totally makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I guess I'm kind of like, you always go worst case scenario though too. Like, I guess not.
I want to be prepared.
Yeah, I guess not a lot of people are like, well, if it happens, it happens, I guess. So
Well, and then
it's gonna suck, but
people drive these cars like they're going to steal them too. I mean, people.
yeah,
It's a rental car, so someone they treat it like crap.
yeah, a lot of yeah, that's true in some cases. Yeah,
No, I don't want to get into cars after someone that was like revving the engine and damn near blew up the engine. So I'm going to get in the car, and then the performance isn't going to be that great.
most of your rental cars though, they have like a shelf life, so they're not going to be over like 40,000 miles.
Okay, well then I had a problem with watching the Jackass movies because they would rent the cars and then like destroy them.
Yeah, they don't rent those type of cars, or at least the reputable places don't rent those type of cars.
Right. Well, and then that was the problem that I think when I flew, and I guess that may be my problem. I flew when I was, 18, 19, 20.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't, there's a couple places that would not rent a car to me.
Right.
I didn't have a credit card. I had a debit card. I didn't like credit cards. If I wanted something, I saved up the money and I bought it. So I felt no need. I didn't really. I see too many people get into credit card debt doing that.
Right.
So I avoided that as much as I possibly could.
Probably a good idea.
And then, so because I didn't have a credit card, because I was under 25, or, the reputable places would not rent for me. So I had to go to one of them was called Thrifty Car Rentals.
Oh.
You could tell just by the name that they're not, they're not enterprise.
Yeah.
So that's.
I've had pretty good luck with Thrifty a few times.
Have you?
Yeah.
Now you're talking years ago. So
yeah.
And there's a couple other ones that were like just no blame. Alamo, I remember Alamo. That was a pretty bad one too. But you rented for them, and then they wanted a deposit of like $500.
Right.
Which I knew that going in, so I did that. I don't know. I thought it was a hassle to go through all that. Generally, when we flew, we would work, and then we would catch the flight, and then wherever we landed, it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
End of the day for most of those people, and we're the last flight coming in, and that person working at the airport is not friendly at this point.
Yeah.
They're friendly left at 5 o'clock, and we're coming in at 11.
Yeah.
That was my problem.
Yeah.
So my experiences have not been that great for that.
I usually have had pretty good experiences. I've heard a lot of horror stories from quite a few clients of mine.
Well, yeah, just flipping a coin, and you're lucky that you've gotten a lot of those experiences.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had any problems with the airlines with the flying.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had too many issues with security.
I haven't either.
I've never had the issues, but I've seen. I joke with the profiling, but
it happens.
I want to say, I mean, I remember being in the line way before we were checked out. I'm like, when we go through, wait. And she's like, my wife at the time was like, why? I'm like, 3 people back from us, they're going to search him. I want to see this. And she's like, how do you know? I'm like, well,
look at him.
I'm looking at the guy, and he's checking all those boxes that are checked on those forms that they use.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm willing to bet they're going to pull him off to the side. And sure enough, they did. And I was able to do it. Like, every time I said that, they did. And, they're like, how do you know that? I'm like, they're obviously profiling. It's clearly profiling. And then you could tell every once in a while, they've got to pull that white guy out just to crunch the numbers right.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they're like, and I think I was one of those guys one time. I'm coming through, and they're like, do you mind? And they asked me, they're like, do you mind if we pull you out and wand you? And I'm like, one time I said yes. I'm like, yeah, that's no big deal. They wanded me, and I will tell you, they were paying no attention to what they were doing. You could tell that they were just wanting to say they wanded me. I don't think when he wanted me, I think I stepped back. Like I was standing there, and I took a step back, and he still wanted the same area if I was still there. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, you're good. I'm like, that wand was like a good 2 feet from me. I know you couldn't have really done this.
Nice.
And I think one time, and then one other time, the one guy asked, he goes, do you mind if we wand? I'm like, I'm supposed to be on the other side of the airport. He's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we'll let you go through then. Well, why if you're going to wand me, and then wand me. If not, I shouldn't. So I could say no.
Right.
Obviously, I did, and he said, yeah, no big deal. So obviously, he wasn't wanding me because
he needed to.
He needed to.
Right. Wow.
And I'm like that. So, yeah, I guess that's my problem. It's people. People are doing it.
Yeah.
And people's prejudice and stuff like that show really, really well there.
They do.
And, those bad apples, So I choose not to fly. I'll drive. Luckily, we live here in Omaha. Anywhere we want to go, we could pretty much drive through. We drove to Virginia.
Right.
How long did that take us?
About 2 days.
Yeah, and that was because we stopped in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So we stopped in Kentucky, spent the night there, drove through the next day.
Right.
So yeah, I mean we could.
It's nice being in the middle because you can go anywhere almost in 2 days.
Yeah, so I mean I don't feel the need to fly anywhere.
Yeah.
When we go to Colorado, we drive. It's a 9-hour drive out there.
Yeah.
We towed the bike,
We did.
and then when we got out there, I was riding the bike all over.
Yeah.
We drove up to, where did we drive to? Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Yep, I'm really upset we didn't take my bike there too. So yeah, I choose not to fly. So I think that's where Mikey has not had the opportunity to get on the airplane.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, do you want to fly? Do you want to get on an airplane?
You see, I don't mind flying. I don't know. I guess I don't really have any major problems with it.
Well, you have nothing to compare it to, really. Do you remember ever flying?
Not really.
Okay.
All I remember is the turbulence.
Oh, yeah.
I remember riding through a thunderstorm one time, too.
Yeah, those are fun.
Because, I could see the lightning below me. Mm-hmm. That was really cool.
It's great to look at. In the moment, turbulence is okay. Now, they tell you, oh, the plane can drop hundreds of feet when that turbulence happens. Yeah. You hit an air pocket and that plane can drop like 100 feet.
Yeah.
So when you think of that, we think 100 feet when we're on the ground. If we're thinking we go 100 feet up in the air and then drop, we're dead.
Yeah.
Well, you got to think the planes fly at thousands of feet.
Oh, yeah, like 30,000 feet.
Okay, so so
yeah,
when you're that high, 100 feet doesn't make that big of a difference.
Right. And they'll usually, most of the time, they'll divert around it. Like if they know if there's a thunderstorm or something going through an area, they can go around it.
Which is what I like, because I've seen where they've gone, and I've been on a plane where they've we're going to go a little wide past this thunderstorm. It's going to add an extra 20 minutes on your flight. And they we know that. And then you could look out the window if you're on the right side of the plane. You could see that thunderstorm, and you could see the lightning dancing, and it's actually wonderful to see.
Yeah, it's really cool at night. We were on a night flight, and you could see the lightning out in the distance, and it was like, oh.
Now, was there a gremlin on the plane?
No.
On the wing, tearing it apart?
No.
Do you remember that? That's what. It's one of the things that always scared me for flying. It was, I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was a Twilight Zone.
Oh.
And the guy would look out and there was like a little gremlin that was tearing apart the engine on the plane. So every time he opened the window, it was one of the best episodes of the Twilight Zone I used to like.
Yeah.
Most people don't know what the Twilight Zone is. It was an old show, mostly black and white.
Yeah.
And that scared the bejeebers out of me. So, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I loved,
Yeah.
But that was kind of crazy. So, yeah, Mikey, you're not going to fly very often unless you want to start flying. You want to become a pilot?
You see, there are probably too many factors that could probably end up happening.
Well, you don't have to be a pilot. You can be a flight attendant.
You see, but I just don't want to, have something happen and then we're, falling from, 30,000 feet down into, the ocean or, some random forest.
Well, the fall will not hurt you at all.
Yeah.
It's a sudden stop at the end.
Okay, yes.
And that doesn't happen as often as you think. I mean, it does happen, but it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, it's actually safer to, in airplanes than it is in a car.
You're telling me if you drive through a lightning storm in an airplane, what are your chances of that plane getting struck?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I've been on a plane that's struck by lightning.
And it's done nothing.
Yeah. You're not grounded.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, lightning could hit like if you're falling out of the sky, and lightning hits your body. Chances are nothing will happen because you're not grounded. You're not touching the ground.
Really?
Yeah, it's when you're grounded that most of that causes problems.
I did not know that.
That's why most tires are rubber, because when if they're hit by lightning or electrical poles or something like that, that rubber is actually going to protect them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've been on a plane where they've changed the tire before they take off. That I wasn't really too like thrilled to hear. I was like, really?
Well,
like,
changing the tires, no, I get that, but if you see the maintenance crew out there putting duct tape on the engine,
yeah.
that's what concerns me.
Yeah. But yeah.
I get it. I understand it's a safe deal. It's not, the chance of anything happening really are, slim to none. The problem with that is generally if that something happens, it's going to be catastrophic.
Right.
You lose an engine, and I think Ron White said, one engine will get, take you straight to the scene of the crash.
Yeah.
I guess it's we hear the horror stories, and that's what scares a lot of people.
Yeah.
Also, people are afraid of heights.
That is true.
There's a lot of factors that go into that. A lot of these planes have been, well, I guess that's the pros and cons, is a lot of these planes have been flying for a long time.
Yeah.
Which means they've been flying for a long time. And, if they're not serviced correctly or, that could cause a problem too.
Like the American one, I will not fly American out of here on one of their regional jets because they rattle so bad. I mean, it like freaked me out so bad. I was like, nope, I'm not flying American again. Like, I'd have to check the aircraft to make sure it wasn't one of the regional jets.
So it rattles?
Yeah, like when you're taking off, like, when they're taking off and you're going so fast and just everything rattles. Like, you can hear, like, the tray tables rattle.
Yeah, that would be...
You have that on every plane, but for some reason, those American planes were the worst.
I don't really want to, I've joked around, and I haven't done it. I joke that I'm going to do it one of these days. I want to get on a roller coaster. I want to pull out like a couple nuts and bolts and like hand them to the person in front and say, "Hey, these fell out of your seat. Good luck." I'm a joker. I like to do that. I don't want to be concerned about a loose screw or something on an airplane.
Yeah.
Do they tighten those up? Do they not? I mean...
Yeah, they have their safety checks, and the planes have to go through regular maintenance all the time. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, but like you said, when it's rattling, I don't care what you can tell me, hey, this plane is going to 100% get there. And if it starts rattling and things start to fall off or break while you're on that runway... No. Yeah. I lost. You could tell me 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to believe you.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I was living in Portland, I was getting the free tickets on American, so I was flying them like a couple times. I was like, oh no, I'm not doing this again. So like I made sure I was on like an MD-80 or something, and I wasn't on the American Eagles.
See, she says MD-80 like you and I know what she means.
Yeah.
It's a type of aircraft.
Yeah. What's an MD-80?
MD is for the manufacturer, like McDonald something Douglas or something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, I had no clue.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Now I could fly a private plane.
Yeah, those are fun too.
Those would be nice. There's a lot more leg room and all kinds of stuff there.
Oh yeah, a private plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever flown on a private plane?
I've flown on smaller, like Cessna type planes, but never a private plane.
Oh yeah, I flew. It was a little private jet, little charter jet. Man, it was so nice. They still had a stewardess on there, and the stewardess kind of took care of us. And it was a private plane. It was a buddy of mine who owned it, so he had all the stuff that we liked on there. So I don't remember the landing though. I don't remember landing.
Why?
Oh, we were drunk.
Oh, yeah.
We were loaded. We were toasted.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I walked off the plane.
And that hits you a lot harder at.
Oh, you didn't realize that, because that altitude makes a difference for that alcohol.
Definitely. It does,
And
yeah.
we were drinking the good stuff. I mean, he had some money, so we drank the good stuff, and I was drinking like I was at sea level. That's not good to do.
Nope.
So I remember the flight. I remember taking off. I remember getting to altitude. I don't remember the descent.
Okay.
I do not remember the landing. As far as I'm concerned, he landed like perfect.
Oh, good.
I don't remember getting off the plane.
Yeah.
I do remember waking up in the hotel room.
Oh, wow.
That's a good flight.
That is a good flight.
That's the best flight I've ever been on. Obviously, everybody got me to where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't know how I checked in. Apparently, I checked in, though.
Wow.
Or someone checked me in. I mean, I was loaded. I mean, like, I was blackout. I'm not a drinker very often anymore.
Right.
I mean, I don't ever get to that point. Maybe once or twice a year, I'll kind of cut loose and do that. I didn't plan on doing it, but like you said, that elevation really changes things for you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I remember I was fine, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. And it was just like I blinked, and I'm okay. I drank, I blinked, now I'm drunk.
Yeah.
And I woke up in the hotel. I'm like, how did I get here? Where am I? I went down, and I talked to the person. I'm like, I don't remember checking in. They're like, oh, that's okay. I'm like, do you have my credit card? Do you have all this? Oh, yeah. We got everything here for you.
Oh, wow.
And then like we stayed there for like it was a 3-day trip, and I remember I went down there, and when I came in, obviously the lady that checked me in was there at night, and I went up and I'm like, hey, I apologize if I said or did anything. She goes, oh no, you were fine. I'm like, I'm glad I'm a gentleman when I'm blackout drunk.
I remember flying one night. I don't remember where we were at, but we were coming back, and I was sitting next to some guy, and he just kept buying us drinks, and I'm like, okay. Got off the plane, I'm like, ooh, that's a different feeling.
Yeah.
My mom looked at me, she's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, you knew exactly what was wrong with you. You just wanted to tell your mom.
I was like, I think the guy next to me bought me some drinks.
Oh, yeah. No, your parents used to fly because your brother lives in Virginia,
Yeah.
so they would fly out and go visit them quite often.
Yeah. And sometimes we flew out to Kentucky, sometimes we drove. I'm trying to think of where else.
Now your brother's flying in what next 2 weeks, a week? How long?
Next week.
Is it this next week? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So he flies in, the whole family.
Yep, the whole family.
And are we going to the airport with him?
I don't know yet.
Do you want to go to the airport?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Okay.
So
So we might meet him.
I want to sleep in that morning.
Well, what time do they fly in?
They get in at like 9 o'clock in the morning,
That means they're at the airport at what time? 5 a.m.?
probably.
They're East Coast, so that's 4 a.m.? Mm-hmm. Holy cow.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way, Mikey. There's no way. Listen, I'll catch a red eye. I'll fly at night. But if you want me at the airport, listen, the only way you're going to get me up that early is if we're going to Disneyland, Disney World, an amusement park, and then it's open to close.
Yeah.
Open
to close.
To close. We are open that park. I want my money's worth.
Yeah.
So if he's flying in, well, 9 o'clock's not that bad.
Yeah.
We might be up to go.
Yeah, I'll probably be up anyway. My 2 alarm clocks don't let me sleep in.
That could be a problem. So,
Yeah.
like, can we like show up with a sign that says, "Hey, congratulations on getting early parole"?
If you want to, yeah, you
That'd
can.
be hilarious, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? You know, haven't seen you since the conjugal visit.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Just mess with people,
Yeah.
and that way everybody like stares at them like, oh, that's a convict. That'd be hilarious.
That would be kind of funny, yeah.
So, well, we have a lot of plans. So they're gonna have to go through everything we talked about,
They are, yeah.
and then they'll be here for a week,
Yep.
and then they're gonna do it in reverse.
Yep, they'll do it again.
Yep.
Fun times.
Yeah, I guess that is now. I guess they're leaving the dog with.
I think with her mom.
Okay,
So.
so Lisa's mom is gonna watch the dog.
Yep.
Flying with a dog is a whole nother deal, right? I mean, you flew with Beaches, right?
Yeah, I flew with Beaches a few times.
How did that go? I mean, how is that?
There were, for the most part, a lot of the times went smooth. I had a couple issues, couple times, but
Like what? What were the issues?
well, one time I didn't give her, so I could get relaxing medicine for her before, and I forgot to give it to her one time, and I was luckily enough, I had like a seat, the whole row was open, so I was able to put her up on the seat with me, like next to me,
Okay.
but she wanted to get out of her carry-on. So she was like, she got the zipper, she like pushed the zipper open with her nose, so she was like trying to get out of her carry-on bag. And the
Oh.
flight attendant's like, you have to put her back in. I'm like, I'm trying.
Oh, that could be a problem.
Yeah. And then there was this other time where I was flying through Dallas because I was flying American. And so you have to put them like in the seat in front of you, like on the floor.
Oh, underneath the seat?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there were these kids like running up and down the aisle. That was back when you could do that a little bit. Yeah.
They just let people run around?
Well, they didn't let them, but they were kids, so they were like getting up, going to the bathroom, coming back, and I remember one of them kind of kicked her one time, and I heard her. I'm like, "Look, you need to sit back down." I'm like, "You just kicked my dog. I'm about to kick you."
See, that goes back to the same with a restaurant. I mean, I know I have never done it, but that kid that keeps like doing laps around there,
Yeah.
you just want to just like put your foot out and trip them and then teach them a lesson.
Exactly.
Listen, this is a restaurant, not a jungle gym.
And then they were like, those same people were on the same flight when I was returning. I'm like,
Did you pull their parents away and say, look, control your kids.
yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to worry about the dog biting them. I will bite them and kick them, and you're
Right.
going to worry about me.
I'll set my little ankle biter out after you guys.
Yep. So, well, yeah.
Yeah. But she was a pretty good traveler, though. She just kind of, I drug her up a little bit, and she'd be like, yeah.
That's, I hate to say this, but if we go flying, you're going to have to drug me up some, right?
Okay.
We better get something from the doctor that says, hey,
You can't take anything because it knocks you out for like a day.
yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. So, no on that.
Was it? Yeah. So what do we do? We're screwed.
You
Can't
just
you
suck
just-
it up.
Just put on some noise canceling headphones and a sleep mask and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I could do that. I mean,
Yeah. You'd be okay.
That way the light doesn't bother you and you don't hear anything that's going on around you and you'll be good.
that's probably the best advice that anybody could ever give anybody is you should always have headphones and a sleep mask. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are come pretty handy. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's how because I don't want to deal with anybody.
Right.
I really don't. I barely deal with people on the ground. Can you imagine me 30,000 feet up in the air?
No, thank you.
Yeah. That'd be crazy. So, no, but Mikey has flown a couple times.
I have.
So, not too bad.
Not really.
Do you prefer, did you like flying or did you prefer the driving that we do?
I kind of like the driving that we do because, and the only reason I like it is because of all the stops that we do and all of the neat places we get to see. In an airplane, you kind of can't do that.
Yeah, no.
Hey, pilot, I saw something down there. I want to stop. Can we just circle back around and then just drop us off?
Yeah.
You got a parachute, right?
I don't know. Seeing Mount Hood when you fly into Portland is pretty cool though, because you can you can usually see Mount Hood, and then there's a couple other ones that you can see when you're flying in.
Well, the scenery there is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to say the best is like when you're landing or taking off, because like cars start to look like little ants, and just as you go through. I do like that.
Yeah.
So I do like watching the takeoff and the landing.
Mm-hmm.
Most people hate landing.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts. I like the takeoff. I like the landing. It's the middle part that I could care less about.
See, and it's kind of weird for me. I don't like the takeoff as much as I like the landing.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason, I always think like it's just going to do a sudden drop and then it's not going to go up.
Oh, yeah.
But then I figured coming down, it has its wheels, so it'll land on the wheels when it goes down.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the takeoff because it's like, I mean, you're sitting in a chair and you could feel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you feel the power of that engine. You're like, that little wing is holding that little that big engine, the big engine, little wing.
Yeah.
And then you could feel the power when it goes through, because I mean, you get pushed back. And
oh yeah.
I mean, I like that. I like that. That acceleration.
Yeah.
It kind of energizes you, and then you get a watch as you get to the end, and you go up, and you see everything just starts getting smaller and smaller. I really, really like that. Once you're up and you're flying, you can't really see. If it's cloud cover, you're not going to be able to see much.
Right.
Even when it's not cloud cover, I mean,
you can't really see much.
You could kind of see that there's an earth below you.
Yeah.
And then you could see like farms and stuff like that, or you could see, oh yeah, I think that's a big city that's the size of my thumb.
Yeah.
But then when you're landing and you're coming through, all of a sudden that small stuff starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then when I guess what I like is, it's almost in reverse. When that plane lands, they hit those engines in reverse to slow you down, and you could hear the power of that engine. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like you're in a sports car.
Yeah. Yeah, for some reason, I always just think it's going to, like, bottom out when you take off. Or, I don't know. I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah, I mean...
But I still like it, but I'm just a little bit more, like, okay, don't drop.
Well, I mean, if it drops, generally, if it doesn't get a good takeoff, it's not going to get up very far off the ground before you land. So, I guess that's not too bad.
Yeah.
They used to be able to smoke on planes, Mikey.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem safe.
Well, yeah, the secondhand smoke on an airplane was like crazy.
Horrible.
Because there's no ventilation in there.
Well, you're just going to circulate the same air around, and
and that's not very good.
Yeah. And you now, what kind of meals do you get on? You don't even get meals on the plane anymore, do you?
Internationally, you can, yeah.
Okay.
You can get, like, kosher meals. You can get vegetarian meals, like non-vegan or vegan, or all kinds of different meals.
Really?
Yeah.
But if you're flying just normal, you just get like the bag of peanuts.
Yeah.
And a Coke. And
Right.
you don't even get a full Coke.
Some airlines you do.
I remember the airline I did, I'm like, yeah, I'd like a Coke. And then they gave me this like little tiny like plastic glass, and then they filled it up, and it was like half the can of Coke. I'm like, can I have the rest of the Coke?
Yeah.
That's like that's not even an appetizer for me.
Right.
I mean, that's like 3 gulps and it's gone, and I'm still. That's bored drinking.
Yeah.
If I'm thirsty, that's not going to do anything.
Right. Well, and see,
And then you're going to give me peanuts and make me thirstier.
yeah. They don't give you the full can of Coke. That way you don't have to get up and pee during the flight.
Well, I'm smart enough to get off the toilet.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest here. I'm not going to flush sitting on that thing. I mean...
Not a good idea.
No. Unless you're constipated, and then that'll really help. It sucks it right out of you.
And you out of the plane, maybe.
Well, I don't know if it'll suck. I mean, I'm a pretty big boy. I don't think it'll suck me out. Mikey, are you okay? You're gagging over there.
I'm good.
You're good. You're small enough to be sucked out of a plane.
He is, yeah.
I think he's speechless. He can't even talk.
He's
No,
like, that
nothing.
could happen?
Yeah. Well, the stewardess and the outfits have changed over the years too.
Oh, yeah.
I remember them wearing the little skimpy skirts and stuff.
They still do.
Do they?
And you'd be surprised at like the stuff that they have to go through just to be a flight attendant. Like, I was watching this thing on Emirates the other day. They have a certain way that they have to all do their makeup.
Really?
Yeah. Like, even I remember I worked with somebody at American Express, and she used to be a flight attendant. They like literally go through like, they almost go through like a beauty school because they have to have their makeup done a certain way. They have to have their hair done a certain way. The thing with Emirates, they have like specific ways to do your eye makeup.
What's
your
Emirates?
lips. Emirates.
What is that?
It's a airline based on one of the I can't remember what country it's from now, but it's like a Middle Eastern airline.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to use certain eyeshadow color. They have a specific lipstick color that they have to use. And their uniforms, like I was reading, like they have the things that they wear around their head, and it has like the 7 pleats on it, or I'm not sure what they're called, but like the 7 represent something about the flags or something.
Oh wow, I didn't realize it was that crazy.
Yeah, they get crazy. They have to have their stuff like specifically done.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Aren't flight attendants also like trained to deliver babies too?
Some can be, yeah. It's happened. It happens a lot on planes.
How many babies are born on a plane? It can't happen that often.
Well, it's not like an everyday thing.
Oh,
but
I'm due tomorrow to deliver the baby, so let's fly to New York. I mean, who does that?
a lot of people, like, it happens early in those cases. So.
I would think that once you get to that, like, 4th trimester, don't fly, don't travel. That's when...
The 4th?
How many trimesters? Whatever. How many trimesters are there? Isn't there 4 trimesters? 3? There's 3 trimesters. This is why I don't deliver babies, and that's why I don't have a baby.
But yeah, I mean, it happens more probably on your like international flights, but
Well, when you're in that last period of where you're going to deliver, within the last, I would say 2 or 3 months, don't fly.
yeah. And most of the time, your doctor's not going to allow you to fly in that last trimester. But I mean, sometimes some people deliver early and they'll happen to do it on the plane.
So humans have 3 trimesters. Does elephants have 4? Don't elephants have a pregnancy a little longer?
I don't know. Well, I guess it's actually very rare. It says only 75 babies have been born in the past century on airplanes.
Yeah, see, I knew that wasn't
okay.
going to be a high number.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to be an idiot. Now, don't get me wrong. Most of those will probably, people from America that, probably from Alabama or,
Yeah.
didn't realize, I didn't realize I was pregnant. And I just delivered a baby. I don't know how people could get, I don't get that either.
I don't either. Yeah, that's crazy.
So 75 babies born on an airplane.
Yeah.
So where's their place of birth?
That's what is like, though, I guess that's a big topic too. I don't know. I'd have to do more reading on that one.
Well, we were flying over Kansas from California, and that's when you were born. So you were born in Kansas.
Yeah.
But
well,
we landed in New York.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would be a little weird. Yeah. So I don't know how they do that. I'd have to read more on that.
that would be kind of crazy, wouldn't it?
Because I know there is a big thing about that too. So like like if you're on an international carrier, like I guess they question what country you were in when it happened, I guess.
Oh yeah, that would where's your place of birth? Middle of Atlantic. The Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Probably.
That would be a good story to tell, though, when you're older.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that.
So do people just fly and it's like, are they trying to get their kid to be like born in America, or is it, and they're like automatically a citizen, or is that?
Well, that can happen. That generally will happen, I think, with...
Well, no, like if, say, for example, like if you're relocating from like London to the United States, and so you're having to fly back, that person could go into early labor over the plane. And I guess it's actually, if you give birth on a ship or an aircraft in international waters, it's based on where that aircraft is registered, like what country it's registered in. So that could be interesting.
Yeah, that would be... I just had a baby. I need to know where this is registered.
Yeah.
We're registered in Germany. Great.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
So,
And that's your origin of birth?
yeah.
So what if you're like flying... that's international waters. So once you... Well, what happens if you're like... You give birth and you're in the airspace of the United States. So you're flying into Florida. You're 30 minutes from landing and you're giving birth. So does it go with the origin there, or
No,
where you're landing?
It goes where the aircraft is registered at.
Well, that said it was for international waters. You're no longer in international waters if you're within, the United States.
Oh,
So I wonder what that would be.
it would probably still be the same, I would guess.
That would be interesting.
And that would be interesting.
Because I know if you're like born on a base overseas, technically you're still born an American citizen.
Yeah, because they're on a U.S. base.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then I want to say there's a hospital. I hear this from Chris. He was... I guess somebody was born at the hospital on the base, which the base is in one state. Technically, the hospital is in the state over, but they're still counted as Kentucky or something. It's kind of weird. It's like even though the hospital's across state line, since it's attached to the base, they're the origin of the base. So there's a lot of that weird stuff that happens. I mean,
Yeah.
like we have a weird one here, like what separates the state from Nebraska and Iowa is the river, right?
Right.
However, they diverted the airport. The airport is technically in Omaha.
Yeah, but it's, well, like land-wise, it's in Carter Lake, Iowa.
Okay, so Carter Lake, Iowa.
Right.
But it is still considered Nebraska,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah. I don't
So
get it.
Carter Lake is actually on this side of the river. Or they diverted the river to move it around or something.
Yeah, it used to, like, the river used to bend, and they diverted it to make it just go straight. And there's that little part of that, like, the little loop part that's, like, considered Iowa, but it's actually in Nebraska. Yeah.
Right. So it's like one of those weird things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could I mean, there's a couple states that have that like weird stuff that goes on. There's a few states that, like, if you're driving down the freeway or down the road, you're in one state, but if you turn around and go the other way, you're in another state. It's like I think they called it State Street, but there's like, if you're driving like oncoming, you're driving one way and you're in one state, and the cars that are going the opposite direction is actually in another state.
Oh.
And like,
I've heard that on county lines. I haven't heard that on states.
yeah, there's a state that has that, and that happens in county or cities as well.
Yeah.
Where like your neighbor, like across the street, or is in a different city than
Yeah.
you're in. I guess that was a big deal back when like area codes were a deal, and you had to like dial area code where
Yeah.
like, I guess they could call the house next door, and it was a local call, but calling across the street was a long distance call. So
Yeah, that is weird.
all right, well, yeah, that's a lot of good stories that we have there for airlines.
Yeah,
So, pretty good.
pretty good.
All right, and then the next episode is Dr. Johnston.
Yep,
And we're going to go to his office.
we are. Yeah.
So, Mikey, you're going to be tearing everything down here, and then we're going to be remote.
Oh yeah.
And that ought to be fun.
It's gonna
And
be
then
fun.
after that, I think we're going to be remote again.
Okay,
And then, so I think we have a couple shows coming up
we do. Yeah.
All right.
Be on location.
on location.
Yep.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Getting out of the house would be fun, I think, in that situation. And then we're going to have some more shows coming up that are going to be a little more touchy, I think.
Yeah,
With your brother coming in, or we're going to try and get him on the show, right?
we might. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
see.
Well, I think that's going to be our after show.
Alrighty, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Bye, everybody.